Hi, Liana. Thank you.
Hey, it's we actually I haven't seen you since we were in Jamaica. What was it like last year, last January? It feels like a long time ago.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a long time ago. It was back before all the things happened, but I don't
Craziness,
even.
right?
Yeah, I don't say
I,
the words because I don't know. Are we on Facebook?
we are on we're actually live streaming and then afterwards it's going to go onto a podcast. So we're on
All
Facebook,
right.
YouTube and LinkedIn and a bunch of places on Facebook as well. So
Cool, cool,
I'm
cool.
really excited to connect with you because when I remember when I met you at January in Jamaica with Ad Skills, that was the Ad Skills one of their events. I remembered your presentation just stuck in my mind. I remember you saying I think that was your very first one, but you had the room captured because we were so fascinated by what you were doing and what you were showing to do the high ticket sales with basically like what Justin already had. It wasn't even like he was going out and buying a lot of traffic. And so I'm really excited just to be able to share kind of your superpower and what you do with that because I remember that one I remember specifically and I was just like frantically taking pictures of your slides and everything to try and understand what you're doing because it just blew my mind. So do you want to just start to kind of tell us a little bit about what your superpower is and what you do? And then I know I'll probably have like a ton of questions because I'm very curious about how it all works.
Yeah, sure, sure. So my superpower, if you can call it that, is basically using email marketing to sell high-ticket products.
Mhm.
And I'm partnering up with all different kind of thought leaders, consultants, coaches to kind of just move in, manage their email marketing, and pull out sales of the assets that they already own, which are usually email lists, physical mailing lists, and mix of different social media accounts. So I kind of have like a small team, and we move in
Mhm.
and we start sending out broadcasts. And the point of the broadcast is to get people to raise their hands and reach out to us
Mhm.
and basically tell us what they're open to hear about. We are testing a bunch of different angles on the first couple of weeks. And then when someone reaches out, it's all one on one from there. We don't use like a phone sales team. It's all phoneless. It's done by email
Mhm.
or it's done by Messenger if there's a Facebook page. And from there, we basically just qualify the leads, have a conversation, some back and forth, and try to find out if they're a good fit or not. And if they're a good fit, they're getting a basically it's a sales page, but I like to put it in a simple Google Doc. So they get that link if they're qualified, and from there they can still tell us, hey, it's not for me, or they can tell us I'm in and I want to do this, or they can, and they usually do, raise a bunch of objections or have questions. And the nice thing about that is this also builds our database of questions and objections and concerns that we later on can address in the campaigns.
Mhm.
So it's a really they're helping us build our next campaigns as we
Right.
are selling them, and it's like an amazing process.
Yeah. Can I think what I want to do is just unpack everything you said there because I don't know if people realize that you just laid out like a multi-million dollar campaign right there. I mean, so first of all, what I love about it is just to kind of unpack how it all begins is I love the fact that you say I can help you make more money and sell high ticket sales with what you already have. This is not about taking 10,000, 50,000, $100,000 and putting it into ads and sending it over to your funnel, right? So
Yeah,
like typically like how big of an email list are you usually working with when you start off?
yeah, it's all depends. Usually it's in the tens of thousands,
Mhm.
but it also depends like how active the email list is, how many people actually open the emails that we're sending,
Mhm.
and how engaged they are as an audience and what
Okay.
their relationship is like. So I usually like to work with people who have a good relationship with their
Mhm.
audience.
So it could be a smaller list as long as it's a very engaged list, right? You could still you can get a lot out of that, right?
Yeah, as long as there's like at least like 10,000, maybe even 5,000 people if it's like super engaged. I
Mhm.
can probably get some, and there's a program that's proven to be sold before to them, so it can be just
Mhm.
any list. But
Yeah.
they are actually, yeah, I can use that to sell high ticket items, and it kind of
And when
works.
you talk about high ticket, like, can you give me an idea of the range that you are selling here, just so we can have an idea of the possibilities here?
Oh yeah, we have sold anything from 500, which is on the super low side, but we got up to like I think the biggest thing we sold was 15,000.
Mhm.
So, and that was like a live mastermind
Uh-huh. Okay. And
event.
so
But
what's
typically,
amazing to me is, so so if I have like so I have an email list and I have about 5,000 people who are very engaged on it, and then I say, David, just go for it. You're not even like, I don't have to hire a sales team or anything like that, right? Like, you're telling me that you are just sending out emails and doing chat messaging, and you're closing $15,000 sales just in that way.
yes, I do have a sales team, but it's a phoneless sales team,
Mhm.
and they're trained to kind of take the drawn out sales process that people usually use as coaches to sell their high ticket programs, and they're kind of like doing the 80/20 on it, and just just taking the most important parts of the process and using
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
on chat communication. So
And I'm really interested
uh,
too in your approach, because I do that sort of on social media.
mhm.
Where you just put out something, like, maybe you could tell us a little bit about this, because what I do on social is I'll put out something, and then I'll see if somebody wants to raise their hand or show some interest, and then I try and take that relationship into a different medium, like on chat or a Zoom call or something like that. Can you unpack a little bit more about how that you do that approach a little bit more with the emails?
Yeah, yeah, sure. So I think the first mindset shift that we need to make is most people view email as this kind of like a traffic channel, really. They're buying their ads, people are signing up, and they're then just pushing people to webinars and sales pages. They're sending short little emails with links, and you're looking at the CTR, the click-through rates. Now, I don't view it like that. I'm usually considering it as part of the actual sales letter or the launch sequence. It's more of like I don't know which famous marketer said that, but it's like a sideways sales letter in a way that if someone's gonna open my emails, they're actually reading my what I write. So why would I again just send them to some next page and next page
Right.
and have a bunch of people
So you
just
no links in your
disappear?
emails.
There are some links that I put there, but in this type of campaign, no. It's usually the call to action is to reply.
Okay.
So it stays inside Gmail or whatever email provider you're using. And yeah, because the thing is with links, they may get a click because the lead piques their interest or something. But then it's gonna open up on a new tab. They have like 20 tabs open. They get lost, or even if they like the page, they might bookmark it and disappear, never come back. So you never really know. And there's all these different problems with tracking. But if someone replies to an email, they are in my CRM. I can follow up with them. I can specifically see what they raise their hands to. So it might be a whole different angle that works really, really well. And I can keep reusing that angle and following up using that specific message that got their attention in the first place.
Mhm. So, yeah, so what I thought was interesting was, you send these emails out with 0 links in them. So that's, again, that's already, like, just kind of bizarre from, what's taught a lot, right, with email marketing. And then they reply, and I thought you had this really cool way of, like, because 'cause I'm a big I love to test and test and test, and I thought you had this really neat way of figuring out what to do next after they reply, because in terms of how you're sorting them and trying to getting them down this path to selling these high ticket, like a $15,000 sale over email, which, again, I think for some people is just thinks, wow, like, that sounds too easy.
Yeah. Well, it's a little system on its own. It's kind of like Gmail becomes my CRM, and I have some automated responses, but I'm always using those just fine tuned. Like it's just a draft. So every time I go in, I take a template and I can just adjust it based on the conversation that we had, or even just the initial hand raiser email that they raised their hands to. But
Mhm.
yeah, the process begins with just qualifying. So I'm introducing myself. I usually tell them, "Hey, it's David. I know you were expecting the guru, the guru's name, but it's just me, and I want to help the guru kind of handle all the response that we're getting on this campaign."
So you did this for Justin
So
Brooke, right? So is that what you did? Like you wrote and say, "Hey, I know you thought you were going to hear from Justin, but this is David."
yes, I did this for Justin and ad skills in the beginning. So when we were fine tuning their offer, because this is how I like to begin their client relationship. It's usually the best form of research I can do, actually talking to the client's customers. But then eventually with ad skills, we stick to the door model back in the day.
Mhm.
So yeah, with ad skills, it was more typical email marketing. But yeah, I started with this, and I sold plenty of their $5,000 programs using the system. So
Yeah.
it worked there too.
Yeah. So, but like, just to maybe use that as an example, so you're writing and you're saying, "Hey, I know you thought it was Justin, but it's David, and I just want to help you out."
Yeah, basically just I asked for the permission that it's okay to basically ask them a couple of questions in order to help Justin help them,
Mhm.
and then I go into these qualifying questions, which are micro commitments in itself. So usually the question has to do with what made them reach out, what makes this a good time to do this, what happened in their lives, or if we have some sort of qualifiers that they all have to respond to, then I'm
Mhm.
gonna have that up front. So if someone's not qualified to take us up on the offer, they're not getting the offer at all. So it
Mhm.
also like gets rid of any funnel hackers and that sort of stuff. But yeah, and it's all polite. Like it's not saying, "Hey, it's not for you." I'm just polite and telling them that, "Hey, I really don't think we can help you with this because these and these reasons." Yeah,
And so aren't you afraid, or maybe that's me, like I would think, wow, like if somebody replies back, I guess my fear is if I keep asking them questions, at some point they'll just drop off. Um, but I mean, clearly it works for you. So I mean, but I think maybe I'm obviously doing things wrong. But I mean, I think to me that's one of the fears I have, right? I think we think, oh, they'll reply, and we're so happy we got the one response, right?
they do drop off sometimes, but the beautiful thing is that you're sending out these hand raisers as a broadcast to the entire list, and
Mhm.
you're getting responses. You take those one-on-one conversations, but in the meantime, the broadcasts are still going, so it reminds them that, hey, this is still going. They still don't want to miss out. This is interesting. Let me just check the combo where we left off, and
Mhm.
they're coming back. And I'm also like following up like every day
Mhm.
if I'm not getting a response. So yeah, there's some drop off on the questions, but also if we are selling like $10,000 programs, if they can't answer like three questions, they're probably not a good fit to begin with. So
Got
there's
it.
there
Yeah.
it's part of the qualification process, I
Right.
guess.
Oh, okay, so you're actually very active with these people then, because you're having broadcast emails sent out and you're doing the individual follow-up. So they're actually
Yeah,
getting quite a lot of communication from you
yeah,
once they raise their hand.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's why it's not just me, because once the campaign starts, it's hundreds of responses and just
Yeah,
ongoing
so do you ever sleep?
conversations.
Yeah.
But the good thing is you can actually search the conversations based on keywords in
Mhm.
Gmail. So it also gives you a lot of ideas how to continue the campaign.
Mhm.
So it's
Yeah.
all a feedback loop.
Yeah, and I also thought you were really smart about how you use the information because, if somebody says no, like it's okay, fine, they're not a good fit, but like how do you leverage that information for future campaigns?
Yeah, before someone says no, they usually throw a bunch of objections at me or they have concerns. And from the qualification message, it really leads usually to a bit of back and forth, like 4 messages, 5 messages, sometimes 10 messages in. It's all back and forth, and it's unscripted. We're talking to a prospect, and they're revealing a lot of things about themselves, what they want, what made them decide to reach out, what they like about, what they don't like about the offer or the other
Mhm.
offers that we're competing with. So a lot of good information comes up during these campaigns that I can really use.
Yeah. It's kind of amazing how deep of a conversation I guess you can have over email or chat, right? Getting people to open up to you and they don't even know who you are.
Yeah, I think it's adds to, like, it's even easier because on social media they still have their masks on. They won't uh, they don't want to dive into their pains on a public Facebook group. But if it's on email, it's a whole different context. It's kind of like gives them some kind of anonymity because they're all they're seeing is just an email address, and they're just an email address, not their whole social profile. So I think people open up
Mhm.
much
Yeah,
easier on Gmail, on just email.
right.
So,
What do you think is what's one thing that you find people misunderstand the most about what you do and how you do it?
that's a good question. I don't know, man. I think I already talked about this. It's just when people ask for email marketing, they really just want emails that kind of get clicks, and that's it. Like they let the sales page do all the selling. But
Mhm.
I think it's much easier to have a sales page convert, or even the sales agent, the salesman close a call if the people are already pre-sold by the time they're getting there. And email helps a lot with that because you
Mhm.
can tell stories that are specifically designed to handle certain objections. You can share lessons or stories from the client's life that really resonates with them and motivates
Yeah.
them to take actions. It's much easier to sell them afterwards
Right.
when the marketing is done right.
Right. And yeah, like cuz again, like this is just about using what you already have. And I don't know if anybody picked it up, but you said you don't even use the sales, like a beautiful sales page, right? Well designed. You just send people to a Google document. Like
Yeah.
it's just copy for $15,000 program. Like to me,
Sometimes
because
there's
I'm
pictures.
slaving over beautiful pages and stuff, or figuring out where the graphics are going to be better converting, or the button here, and you're just doing it in a Google Doc.
Yeah. 'Cause the offer is there. As long as the offer is good and the prospects are pre-sold on doing business together, I think that's the 80% of the conversion. And then if we want
Mm,
to scale and drive traffic and do all that, we can still do the sales pages and the funnels and everything. It's just really simple process to dial the offer in, to get on the same page as our customers and really understand what they need.
yeah.
So
How often do you find you
uh,
have to go back and forth? Like, is this going on for weeks and weeks? Do you find, or do you find like it can actually shorten the sales cycle?
yeah, usually the other thing I do is that I take evergreen offers and I kind of turn them into these mini events. So there's like it's the same offer, same core product that we're selling, but they would have like a special kind of bonus that wasn't there before, or maybe a live call with a coach or a workshop that's specifically fits the theme of the promotion that we're running. So there's
Mhm.
always like a hard deadline that they need to get in by to get that sort of extra special edition and kind of be part of the event. Because if they miss out, there's no way to attend the live event.
Mhm.
And this gives me a harder deadline. And I think it helps. It helps probably a lot with closing sales with a shorter sales cycle because
Okay.
I've seen as much as like 60% of the total sales during a campaign
Uh-huh.
come in on the last day, and
Right.
like 20% of that on the last hour. So it's
Yeah.
and they're closing the gates at the specified time. So
Mhm.
even if they miss it once, then they learn that the next time this is for real, and the next time they better take action before the deadline. So
I see. Okay, so
that
it's
works.
also helpful if you, yeah, so you, even if you have other assets or other, like you said, webinars happening,
Mhm.
yeah, even if it's evergreen, that's really smart. And but they don't know it's evergreen, so you're telling them it's like a live event so that you have the deadline, the scarcity, right? So,
I mean, it's not fake. Like if the webinar, sorry, I didn't mean like a pre-recorded webinar.
mhm.
I'm saying that we will run a webinar specifically for this promo as a bonus. Like it takes an hour from the
Oh, I see.
client's time.
Okay.
Or they can have like a guest expert if the promo was specifically about something, and you take an expert
Okay.
of that, and you just make them run an actual webinar
Okay.
as a bonus content, not as a
I
lead
see.
gen tool.
Okay. I see.
Yeah,
So it's like if I'm selling my $15,000 mastermind, then you'd say to me, "Hey, Leanna, can you also do a live webinar, maybe with, one of the experts who is already a member, where he's going to teach something really super cool, right?
yeah,
And that's a bonus
yeah. That's the
for
bonus,
you."
the core offer. Yeah, to
Hmm.
promote, and then we will have like a mini promotion around that.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's
Yeah.
no fake scarcity in this. It's
Hmm.
all real,
Hmm.
but it's done in a way that it's really effective, and you don't have to start over from scratch and launch a brand new product every time.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
and you always, it feels like then you always have something interesting to talk to people about, so they don't get bored, right, with your emails.
yeah. Because what happens is usually we're talking during a promotion to a specific segment, and
Mhm,
if you're not in that segment, you will just ignore those emails, and you don't get mad that I'm emailing you if it's not something that's not for you. People
mhm,
get mad when you trick them into opening something that kind of looks like it's for them, but it's
mhm,
not, and they figure it
mhm,
out later.
mhm,
So that's when you get the unsubscribe, and that's when you get the angry responses. But if
mhm.
you target like specific segments and you always talk to them, then only those will open who really like what you're talking about. And you
Right,
can take that and kind of roll out promotions all year long.
right. That's actually a good point. Yeah, because you're right. Because a lot of times, in addition to going after the clicks, people just they're trying to get the open rates up, right? And then it's
Yeah.
almost like you just put, my cat died or something, right? Just to get them to open it up. And you're right. And then once you open it, it is a big letdown because it's about something totally different, and
Yeah.
you lose that social currency and that trust that you build up with them, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like with clickbait too on social, right? You don't want to. You
Yeah.
can get the clicks, but they're not good quality, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So what's the best type of client that works well for this, where you're like, this is probably going to be like, you're going to be able to work the system extremely well and make them like a ton of sales.
Hmm. Yeah, the best clients are usually the ones who have a good relationship with their subscribers, who speak at events, have books out, who are basically probably saying right now, "Oh, I can't outsource email," because they're expecting to hear from me.
Mhm,
Those are the best clients because the relationship is already there, and I can just take their voice and kind of figure out a way to use that. And with ad skills, for example, nobody realized I've been writing their emails for over a year.
I remember Justin
And
saying that. It was like it wasn't him writing it, people thought it was, right?
yeah, people were hitting him up and giving him props on the email that, hey, this was a great email, man, and he had to go back and look what we sent out, because after a while he didn't have to like review everything we were just sending all day every day, and it worked.
That's awesome. Sorry, I interrupted you. So, yeah, the best types of clients for you are ones that have a good relationship with the list already?
Yes, and typically I like to work with people who have been already in business for a few years, so they
Mhm,
experienced some ups and downs. They got good reviews. They're not gonna disappear after a big launch. So I really look for that relationship with the clients and their customers, and I
mhm.
like to see good feedback about the business, because then I'm much more motivated to help them sell more if I see it's actually helping people too.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And it can be a program anywhere from like 500 to 15,000 or more, right?
Yeah, yeah. Around like 5 to 10,000 seems to be like the sweet spot.
Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah,
Mm. And where can we find you if we want to contact you?
yeah, I have a website that's at followerfund.com, and
Okay.
I'm also on social media. I'm not sure what my handle is, but I'll
I
just
can
make it
tell you're
up.
an email guy. Just
Yeah,
Okay, that's awesome. Yes. Well, if you send it over to me, I will definitely put all that information in the description so people can find you and contact you. I think in the small event that you might have an opening for a new client, because I think this is really great. And like as you're going through here, I'm checking it off saying, okay, this is what I need to do so I can become your ideal client, right? So
Mhm. All right.
that's great. Well, thanks so much for sharing. I just think is really interesting, and I think especially like I really like the fact that it's about here's how you can leverage what you already have. And I bet there's so many people is just leaving money on the table because they don't even realize what they have. They're just too busy trying to go after new subscribers, right? And just to keep growing, growing, growing. So I really love that's what you're doing here. And yeah. So anyway, thanks again for stopping by. And if you are listening or watching, please go check out David. Say hi to him. I promise he's really nice, very friendly, and he also always gives like some really great advice too on email and email marketing and for high ticket sales. So make sure you go say hi to him. Thanks a lot, David.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye bye.